Welcome to the Wing Life Podcast, where we talk about wing foiling and the lifestyles of those who enjoy this great sport. Hey Tom, thanks for joining today. We're stoked for your upcoming 2024 season. Looking forward to chat about that today and see what's coming up and get everybody excited for it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again, Luke. It's always a pleasure. Another third time to be guest on this podcast. And I hope so far we were able to deliver some interesting insights on the World Tour and other things, happening in the around or myself or things I do and the World Tour events, obviously. And I'm happy to tell you more. Obviously, we are just a week away from the first event of the season, and there's going to be straight away a banger, I think, and a highlight to start off with. So I'm happy to give you a little heads up on what's going to happen.
Oh, that's awesome. What is the first tour stop for those that are still just getting to know the GWA?
Yeah, we're going to kick off the event and the tour with our first pure wave event in one of the best wave locations there can be in Ponta Preta in the island of Sal on Cape Verde. For those who are, I think, into wind water sports, it's definitely a name that rings a bell. From a competition point of view, it's pretty much the best wave arena you can have for a competition. It's a point break, right hand. It's a very good surfing, barreling wave, long wave. Wind comes cross offshore, the wave breaks very close to the beach. It's amazing, and amazing vibe with the spectators too. It's easy for us also on the judging side, on the live streaming side, to put on a good show for those who are not on the beach. And it's obviously the wave events are always a bit tricky because you not only need wind, you also need the perfect waves. And like in a lot of spots, it's not working every day. So we have quite a long window of 10 days. We're running this event together with the Kite World Tour. So we're going to have the Kite World Cup in waves and the Wingfoil World Cup in waves within these 10 days. Last year we needed for both, I think, 5 days of competition. So it's all doable, but of course you need as well. There is an option B spot because you never know if you're going to have the waves break very close to the rocks, and when the sweat is too small, it's not rideable really because it breaks straight on the rocks. On the other side of the island, you have Kite Beach, which is also a very known place with, let's say, a bit softer wave, a bit further away from the beach that mainly catches wind swell and works nearly every day, but it's not as powerful and, let's say, not as radical. And so in case we wouldn't get conditions in Ponta Preta, we will run competition at Kite Beach. But obviously, the goal is Ponta Preta. And, last year, it was the first time ever we ran a wave event on the GWA. And
that was huge.
This place, and nobody knew what to expect. And I think it's been one of the best shows the tour has put on last year, definitely. And therefore, the expectations are pretty high, which we could also see on the number of registrations. As last year, the wave events are limited to 24 riders maximum per gender. Because otherwise it takes too long to run the competition. Wave heats are long. If the wind is light, it can be 18, 20 minutes heat. So it's not like in freestyle where it goes that quick. And if you have 48 competitors, you're just never going to finish. Therefore, it's limited to 24 athletes. And last year we had a little bit more than 24 that wanted to get in. But this year we had more than 60 athletes that wanted to get into this event. And it's been a pretty tough selection, I have to say. So the entry list comes together with the entry allocation is made out of the top guys from the ranking. So the top 12 guys from the World Ranking 2023 are pre-qualified. And then you have video wildcards. So all the people who are not in top 12 ranking, they can submit their videos, regardless if they have competed last year or they've never competed. So we want to open it to newcomers that haven't been on tour, as it's still quite a new discipline. And there's a lot of good guys out there that haven't competed yet. They can just send in videos, and then the best guys out of the videos get selected as well to get into the comp. And then you have GWA wildcards, where like our sports committee picks, let's say, also considering videos, considering past results, or big names, or talents that we want to give a chance. And then you have also 2 wildcards for the local organizer, because we also want to give chance, obviously, to some local Cabo Verdean riders to compete in the World Cup. So that's how the 24 come together. So we have actually a lot of guys that are very high level that could make it in the event yet. They're still on the waiting list. So if somebody pulls out, gets injured, misses a flight, whatever, and we have a replacement list that people can come in last minute. It's been the highest number we have seen so far on registration on wave events. So it just shows the interest in that discipline is pretty high. And I think also last year, a lot of people were not sure if it's actually wing foilable in Ponta Preta. Maybe didn't dare to go, but after seeing the action of last year, there's a lot of people who are keen and hungry to compete.
I can't imagine being on that thing and how radical those things can get. So you have 12 that are already guaranteed spots. You got the next 12, which 10 of them get picked from video and different wild cards. And you're saying 2 of the 12 get picked for the organizer. Okay, so you had 12 spots to fill then.
Exactly. So half of them came in from the ranking and the other half through video selection wildcard.
And what ages? And then women and men equally kind of thing, or?
Now we have a lot less women on especially on this event. I think the reason why we have a lot less women that registered is obviously it's quite a challenging spot. I think it's not for everybody, and I don't mean that the women cannot conquer this spot or cannot handle the conditions, but it can be a bit intimidating, that place, especially when it gets big and you get washed, you definitely go on the rocks every time. It can get rough out there, and it's maybe not for everybody. And that's probably the reason why, we don't have so many ladies signing up for that event, but we have very good ladies that's going to be in the competition. And it's a place for people that don't know the spot, I think, or never ridden it, maybe on a kite or a windsurf or a surfboard before. It's definitely a place that needs a bit of training to get used to.
You need to get used to that wave. Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Yeah, my neighbor went to Cape Verde a couple of years ago, and he was just explaining it to me. Like, we were in Kingston, Ontario, and he's like, see this lamp post, it's 10 feet away from us, and then it hits this thing and it goes to like 10 feet and it jacks up and it barrels, and he's like, and he's one of the best windsurfers out here, and he's like, I said, yeah, I went and played in a different spot, or he caught the shoulder and something, but it's like just how he was explaining it with his enthusiasm. As soon as I found out you guys were hosting an event there, I was like putting those dots together. But yeah, I think you do have to spend some time and get used to that wave, obviously. But as for ages, like what kind of demographics are we looking at here? We got some young chargers or some people that are a bit older?
Yeah, we got a good mix. I would say in average, we got a bit older guys than in the freestyle discipline, for sure.
Okay.
But so the minimum age for all the disciplines is the same, which is 14 years. We had a few people younger than that wanted to enter, but as I said, the minimum is 14 years in the World Cup for any discipline. And we got a couple of young guns at that age, 14, 15, 16, that are ripping, no question, and they're not scared. But the average is probably around 20 to 25, I would say.
Right.
So it's a couple of years older than on the freestyle discipline. That's in any of the water sports like that. I think in waves, it's not something where you just go out on the lake, and train every day. Like, you could get the level quickly and play with the big boys within 6 months from zero. This needs a lot of experience, and you need to be able to understand surfing, to read the waves. And I think a lot of the top guys definitely come out of other sports as well, and we're professional in other sports like windsurfing, like kiting, like SUP. We got Benoit Carpentier. He's I think a world champion in SUP. We got Kaudi Siadi. He's been a world champion in windsurfing. We got guys that compete on top of the kite tour. So all people that know waves well and have ridden waves for years, maybe on different equipment than the wind, but they definitely know what's happening and what to do in certain situations. And in a spot like Ponta Preta, it's not a place that everybody has in front of his doorstep and can train, you know. So
Yeah, you're right.
local knowledge will play a big role. It's expensive to get there, and as I said, it's not a place that is super consistent. You know, the Cape Verde has great conditions, but the window in the year, the period where the conditions are really firing quite regular, is short. I would say it starts December, then you have January, February that are really good months, and in March it starts already to get less. That's it. So there is a lot of people that go out during those months, like January, February, to train. And then when it's on, I can tell you the spot is crowded. I mean, when there is no competition, that spot is full with Ayrton, Machu, like all the top kite guys, all the top windsurfers flying. You know, this is a place where even if you want to train, it doesn't make it easy. And on those days, you got to have 30, 40 like top guys, world best guys out there on any given day. I mean, I know quite a few people that live in Europe, and as soon as they see a forecast, they jump on the plane and fly to Cape Verde just for a week to score as well. So you have to deal with all that. And there were, I know, quite a few of the riders already out there for a while to get some training in. We're excited, definitely, what the event is going to hold for us.
It must be pretty special for everybody coming there, because they can actually have the whole wave to themselves, right? They're not competing. They only have a couple people on that set now, rather than having like 50 people in the lineup. Like, how must that must probably be why you have so many people trying to get in, right?
I think that's actually one of the main reasons why people want to compete at that event, because that's the only time you can ride Ponta Preta with 2 people in the lineup, at least for 20 minutes. That's in any surfing competition and pipeline or any good spot. You know? It's only for the top guys that privilege being windsurfed. No, yeah, for sure. This is last year there was a feedback from some of the riders as well. They said, like, "Wow, it's awesome. We want to just, I just want to ride more heats because that's the only time I can be out there 20 minutes only with one other guy in the water." And nobody else can take weight.
How are the conditions looking? Like, is there a good groundswell coming? Like, how are things lining up? Yeah.
I mean, we're still 10 days away from the first, 9 days away from the first day of competition. So forecasts are obviously accurate, but we know things can still change. But especially, I think the swell forecasts are pretty predictable. And it looks like we can get a pretty decent swell in the beginning of the window already. Like, not on the first day, but on the second, third day, probably. It looks like a good southwest swell, a good northwesterly swell. That's what you need to hit the reef perfectly. So because Sal is an island that runs from north to south, you have to imagine like that. And Ponta Preta is basically on the west side, on the south end of the island. So the waves need to wrap around the whole island and hit with a westerly direction onto the point, and which is not happening all the time. But when it happens, Ponta Preta has the cleanest waves because that's the most southern point on the west side. Well, not the most southern point, but let's say the given bay just shapes the wave running into a bay really clean. And it looks like we're going to get some good waves in the beginning of the winter for a couple of days. But as I said, we're looking with kite and wing foiling together, running 5 to 6 days of competition. So last year we had this for 5-6 days, and then the other factor is the wind, and the wind is a bit more unpredictable. I mean, usually it's not a place where the wind is really strong in Cape Verde. It depends a lot of the direction. The wind is very offshore in Ponta Preta, like not 90 degrees, but close to 90 degrees it can be. So sometimes really hard to catch waves. And depending on the direction, the more north the wind, the better, because it's less offshore. It gets a bit more side shore and easier to catch waves, but also the waves are maybe not that clean anymore. I mean, I'm confident. 10 days is a good window in February, nearly half a month. which should provide some good conditions. I know from the organizer that lately it's not been like a lot of amazing days, but he told me the forecast looks solid. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's go with that. How big of a wave are you guys hoping for? Like, what would be your ideal to run this
Well, to
for
be
people on
honest,
there?
well, I would say that the bigger it gets, the easier it is actually the wave. You know, it is more scary because obviously the wave had a lot of water, and if you crash, it's a lot of water that you get on your head and takes you onto the rocks. But first of all, it breaks further away from the rocks. You know, the smaller, as I said, it needs a minimum size. And if we are close to that minimum size, you basically, in a couple of turns, see the bubbles in front of you coming out of the rocks. And that's not what you want to see on your foot. You don't want to hit in the bottom turn. You want to touch down on a low tide and hit the rock at the bottom turn. So the bigger the waves, the farther away from the beach it breaks, and it is more safe, so to say. And also the wave starts to slow down more. The bigger the waves are, you know, the cleaner the swell is usually the waves. There's a similar situation here in Mauritius, in one eye. You know, a lot of people say, well, you really want to wing foil when it's big. I said, yeah, well, yes, because that's the only days where it's actually the speed is doable on the foil without the power of the wind meter,
Right.
you know. And so the bigger, I would say, more open the faces are. But it is more tricky to get out. Once you get hammered on the rocks, it's bigger of a mission to make it back out and catch another wave. So I think we want to see it big. Maybe not too big because, I mean, it's nice to have a good show, but we also, let's say our first priority is we don't want to put our athletes in too much risk. You know? We don't want to put them out there knowing that we're going to have a few severe injuries due to the conditions. So I would say if we get a good double overhead, that's pretty solid, and that's something we look for. But I know Ponta Preta can't get more than that sometimes. And I don't think seeing at the forecast it's going to be very, very huge. But, well, at the moment, my interpretation with the forecast is see on the peak of the swell, we could see maybe 3 to 4 meter faces. And that's already decent.
Is there a channel to get out there, or do people have to kind of meander through that set to get out?
Yeah, there is.
Especially for winging.
It's a point break, as I said, and so you. The thing is, you're launching, so you have the rock. The points. There's a point with rocks where the waves break into the bay, and at the end of the bay, you have a sandy beach. That's where people get into the water. Okay, the only thing is at the beach break, you can get out. The waves are not breaking. There's a small beach dump on the end, but you need to time a bit to get out. But in the bay, the wind is very light. As I said, it's really offshore. So sometimes you need to swim out for a couple of meters to get into the wind zone and start. So you need to time a little bit to swim out. You're not getting out, straight jump on your foil and be able to fly and get out. Sometimes you can, but most of the times you struggle a bit on the way out, and that makes it a bit harder. But the good thing is, normally if you crash, either you get on the rocks, and we had last year, I was surprised. I think I said it in one of the other episodes already. I was actually surprised that with all the people that went on the rocks last year in the competition, we had not that much damage. Maybe I saw 5 broken wings, because when the waves catch the wing, and they don't break the tube right on the impact of the wave, which usually doesn't happen. The wing always floats on top of the wave. So the wave pushes the wing up the rocks, and then the water pulls out, and the wing stays in the rock. And they always help us on the beach, grabs the wing and takes it out. So, and then the athlete comes out of the water, has to climb up the rocks, which is a bit more tricky with a foil. But at least he doesn't have the wing anymore, gets the wing, and then usually goes down to the sandy beach and starts from there, which takes a bit of time. So if you don't get on the rocks, then usually the current takes you actually into the channel, and you can start back out. So you don't need to cross a massive beach break. That's quite convenient, I would say.
That's nice. So that event is coming up. The window is February 16th to 25th.
Yeah.
So that's your first one that's coming up in, I guess just a little bit over a week. So that's pretty exciting. Now you have, for this year, you got 10 events on your website here. I'm just looking at the World Cup. So do we want to run through those and
Yeah.
just do a quick little highlight of what's going on? So you got your first one, Feb 16th to 25th. You're in France, April 6th to 14th. That one been confirmed. And then we have a few TBCs. So maybe for those folks at home that aren't understanding that, what does it mean when they're to be confirmed?
Yeah, so TBC, as you said, means to be confirmed. And just to make that clear for everybody, we give a confirmed status to an event as soon as a contract with the event organizer is signed. But not only the event contract needs to be signed, also the first deposit payment for the event needs to be paid. Once it reaches this phase, then the event is 100% confirmed on the calendar and also blocked off. So the dates are blocked for the organizer. Nobody else can do an event in these dates, and also exclusivity for the region if the organizer wants that. So nobody else can do an event for the Wingfoil World Tour in this year in the same region. But due to, let's say, cash flow problems or restrictions, because a lot of the organizers also wait for their money. A lot of the events are organized or financed, funded, not organized, but funded by the public side. So tourism money to promote the destination as a water sports place. A lot of our events, I would say, have 50% of their funding comes out of the public money. And
okay, that's good to know.
And then, or some of them 100%, but it depends. But a lot of them want to promote the region, and obviously the government or tourism funds chip in budget to run the event, and they are also late with the payments to the organizer, so they don't free up their budgets that early, and the organizer doesn't want to take the risk, for example, to pay upfront before receiving his funds from the sponsor. So these deposit payments can be a little bit delayed and not be paid at the same time like the contract is signed. And that's why you will still see quite a few events with TBC. That doesn't mean that the event is not happening. I'm quite confident, but it's maybe not an event where a contract and deposit payment has been received yet. And that's why you still see a TBC. But you can see a lot of these events are regular events that we have on tour. We have a strong relationship with the organizer. We know that it's going to go ahead, and I'm quite confident that we're going to have it confirmed in the next couple of weeks, especially the ones in the first half of the year.
All right, that sounds good. So there's a few little administrative things, and it's a little push to the tourism departments to get on that, because we want to see some wingfoil action.
Yeah.
But thanks for clearing that up for those at home who are wanting to know more and more about the tour. It's kind of a good point to notice, actually, that this is also great tourism opportunities for those local governments and whatnot. So that is kind of cool. So we got 10 tour stops. Any kind of highlights or anything that you want to mention? I know we went over Cape Verde, which we're stoked to see. Let's maybe wrap up that one first. Live stream. We had a couple questions from the audience about asking about some drone footage. Like, what would that look like for our first event?
Yeah, our first event will be live streamed. I mean, we are trying to have as many events live streamed as possible, but there are two restrictions to it. First of all, one is budget. If organizers, live stream is not a cheap service to do, and it's also to go a little bit behind the scenes. If the budgets are not unlimited, and organizers have to choose between different options where they spend money, live streaming is, I would say, live streaming is a great tool to reach the core audience, the diehard fans that want to really follow their favorite athletes and want to see that live and when the action is happening. But there is a lot of people that maybe don't look at live and rather look highlights, or for tourism, for tourism boards, it might be more interesting to produce TV content for mainstream media to get a lot of coverage in mainstream media, where you're not reaching maybe 10, 20, 30,000 people watching a live stream, but you're going to reach millions
True.
of households on TV. And that's why they don't emphasize on putting money out for live stream and rather spend it on TV distribution. So this is a bit depending on the organizer. That's the one side. And the other thing is that in some places, it's also technically pretty hard to do, because you might have really weak internet in a very remote place, or the competition is very far away and makes it really difficult to install cameras the right way to keep the quality. Because we are running our live stream in a way that we think, if we stream, we want to do it on a good quality. We
Very true.
We don't want to live stream if the quality is not on the standard that we would expect from ourselves. I think we rather don't run a stream and focus on other media outputs, let's say, other media products, if the live stream cannot be run on a certain quality. And you might have some destinations where, you're lacking with internet. We know we have hard time with internet because you're running on we have a Starlink system, we have a satellite connection, all these things with us on every event. But this is not allowed in every country. For example, you go to some countries, Starlink is not allowed to bring it to the country. This is the same reason for drone, for example. If you're going in Arabic countries, you cannot bring your own drone. So we would rely on drone pilots that are local, and hiring a drone pilot for a wingfoil competition that might never have filmed wingfoiling might be useless. If you know who it is and you can work with the people, yes. So these are reasons why sometimes you see drone footage, sometimes not. In Europe, usually, most of the events that we stream, they have all these features. It depends a bit on the discipline as well. I would say for our slalom, freestyle slalom discipline, that drone is absolutely crucial. I think to follow live stream slalom, drone footage is the way to go. You could do everything without any other camera and just use drone, 1 or 2 or 3 drones. But when you are in a wave competition or freestyle, I don't think the drone footage has so much add-on value, because you wouldn't see the tricks anyway. You couldn't fly it that close to see the technicality of each move. And it's nice to have a few shots of a drone just to see the spot, yes. So these are reasons why we choose the live stream is very similar every time, but sometimes, we can do certain things. And in some events, we can't do the live stream for budget reasons or for technical reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you guys are still putting out, I like the fact that you're only putting out certain level of content. That makes complete sense. And then if you're looking to grow the sport on that, putting it out to TV with a bit more of a polished kind of feel would make complete sense to me. That makes sense as to why you guys would do that. And there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, and we're not just dealing with our back door here. We're looking with different countries, with different politics and different policies, so that completely makes sense. So we got your 10 tour stops.
Yeah, we are going right after. A month after Cape Verde, we are heading to Leucate, one of the classics, an event that's been on the tour since the first year. The Mondial du Vent, it's a very famous water sports event within Europe that's existing for, I think, 25, 26 years. Has hosted several windsurf World Cups, speed World Championships in windsurfing, kitesurf World Cups, and the organizer I know them for a long time already, and they, since wingfoiling is on the seat, they were straight away keen to get wingfoiling as their main. It's a multi-sport event with all these different sports included. A lot of spectators too. It's in the Easter holidays. Usually expecting it's a big event village there. Usually 50, 60,000 people visiting the event. So it's a big happening in Europe. And it's a nice event to go. It's usually, it's a place that can show condition-wise all phases. It's known for the strong tramontane, which is a wind coming from the mountains, blowing offshore up to 40 knots. And then you can have south wind, which pushes also some waves and comes onshore. And you can have a lot of sunny windless days as well. So it's not a place where you have a regular wind system. That's why the
Okay.
event this year going to be also 8 days. So last year we had like one really good day, and the rest of the days it was on the light side. So this year we extended the event period by 2 more days to give it a better chance of getting more strong wind days. And it's always a nice event to go. As I said, there's a lot of attention on this event within Europe. It's the season opener. It's in France, which is the biggest market in the foil sport anyways. So there's always a lot of strong French riders that want to come. There's a lot of interest from public on the beach, seeing the action.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And a lot happening around it, on the village, with attractions for kids, it's if you are around, definitely come by and enjoy the event. It's something to check out, I would say.
So that's April 6th to the 14th, and that's going to be a surf freestyle. And then we hop over to Spain.
And
May
free fly
1st
slalom. It's
to
going to
May
be a
5th.
two
Free fly
discipline
slalom as well. Oh yeah, sorry, I
Yeah,
missed that. Yeah, you're right. Free fly slalom too. Okay.
It's a 2 discipline event. Then we're heading
Good prize
to
money.
Yeah, good prize money.
Yeah.
And we head then to Tarifa, Spain, which is also a classic. Being on the GWA Wing Foil World Tour since the first year. Actually, Tarifa was the second event we ever did in the Wing Foil World Tour. Even in 2020, we started in Brazil with the first ever event just as a tryout, and right away in the same year we did, just before New Year's, an event in Tarifa, the first Tarifa Wing Pro.
Yeah.
And now we're going into the 5th edition already of this event. And it's going to be only surf freestyle. And last year we were running this event in October, and this year we're moving it to May, which is, Tarifa is a water sports mecca as well, and it's getting more and more important. It's been dominated by kite surfing, I would say, the past 20 years. It got popular with windsurfing in the 80s, known as the windiest place in Europe, the mecca of wind. And it's right in the Strait of Gibraltar, so it's a lot of strong wind days. The last 20 years, it was dominated by kite surfing, and now wing foiling is growing and growing in this mecca and getting more and more popular. It's a good event where we have a lot of people that want to compete usually as well. One of the most popular events. The lifestyle in Tarifa is awesome. It's the south of Spain. There's a lot of parties, good food, sunny days.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So, a very, very popular place that I love to go myself a couple of times per year as well.
So easy destinations to get to as overall. So if you're like at home and you're like, I want to book a trip, we're going to jump over to we're going to jump over to Mexico next. Apparently I kind of talked today, but Puerto Vallarta, we're going to go there next. But all these places, like finding spots to stay, all that kind of thing, obviously they're pretty good destinations. So anybody from home, if they want to have a trip, it'd be kind of cool to catch a live event while you're there. That could be a pretty fun activity for the family and stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I think a lot of people that come watch the event, that not only come to watch the event, but also ride for themselves. No, they get down there to Tarifa,
absolutely.
Stay there for a week, get on the water, check out the competition, chat with the pros, and
That'd be fun.
go for a beer afterwards. We're always trying to involve also a lot of social activities besides the competition, where we connect with, all the fans and all the wing foil community in general that, loves to be around. So this is an essential part of our events. We're not trying to run events and shut off our athletes, and they are, after doing their heat, they go back in the room and you'll never see them. They love to socialize as well, and everybody who wants to join an event is keen to meet our athletes or the crew anytime. Happy to see you.
Beautiful.
Guys.
So the next one we're looking is a surf freestyle, May 14 to May 19, Mexico. This is going to be kind of a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. It's a new spot. I haven't been there myself yet. It's still not confirmed, this one. So
okay.
I would say it's on a 50-50 chance right now, but we will very soon. We're still waiting for the budgets to be confirmed. We're probably going to know very soon in the next 1-2 weeks if this one is going to go ahead or not. But yeah, the organizer has put a lot of work in the last 2 months, I would say, and
Beautiful.
it's looking quite positive so far. But yeah, we're depending on budget. As I said, it's an event that's also combined with a kite event. It's not an old
All
wingfoil
right.
event only, so it's going to be a GKA freestyle event as well, which means it's a bigger event and therefore also bigger budgets are needed. But it would be awesome. It would be the first time to bring the tour to Mexico. So let's see and keep our fingers crossed that we'll manage though.
What kind of conditions can we expect from that place? It is a surf freestyle, so
Yeah, it's a place that I would say has similar conditions to Tarifa. Wind coming mainly from the other side, but it's a big bay. It's a quite a touristic place. It's very popular. It's a beautiful place with a lot of people on the beach, lots of hotels. We have choppy flat water. I would say it's not a wave spot. It's a flat water spot, but it's within Mexico one of the most popular water sport destinations.
okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right, then July 3rd to 6th, surf freestyle. So we're hopping over to Spain.
Yes, we're hopping over to Spain, to our Canary Islands leg.
Ooh.
That's getting
Yes.
more and more popular. We've been kicking off the first event that we ever did on the Canary Islands was actually in Lanzarote 2 years ago. And then last year we were not in Lanzarote, we were in Gran Canaria and in Fuerteventura. And this year it looks like we're going to do all three of them back to back. So we're
Oh
taking
man,
our
that's sweet.
athletes to the Canary Islands and then do one competition per week with a few days in between to travel and relax. So that's always an exciting leg. I mean, Canary Islands, everybody who's been there knows, you go there in the summertime, it's just windy every single day. It's a really reliable destination when it comes to wind. And that's also one of the destinations, as explained before, where the event fundings come out of the tourism, because Canary Islands have a lot of water sports tourism. It's probably the most popular destination in Europe, even though it's quite outside Europe, but it belongs to Spain and has a lot of flight connections from any country in Europe. It is, I would say, the place to go for any wingfoiler, kite surfer, windsurfer in the summer months. And therefore, it's a great marketing tool for those islands to have World Cups. And it's not only wingfoil World Cups, they are hosting
Definitely.
windsurfing World Cups, they are hosting kite surfing World Cups, everything happening around that time to make sure they secure their position on the water sport map. And it's a great setup. It's a cool place with as I said, a good community, lots of things happening around water sports. And we don't have on this event calendar yet, but I guess this question will come up as well. And this is the Youth World Cup, which is also going to happen in the Canary Islands. But we haven't put them on there yet because we need to finalize the last details. But we're going to be back in the island of La Palma, which is another one of the Canary Islands, for the Youth World Cup the week just before Lanzarote. So for that reason, a lot of these youth athletes that also want to or get the chance, because not everybody will be able to enter the World Cup, can do the Youth World Cup and then go on and do the other tour stops as well. So basically, we're going to have 4 events, including the youth event, 1 month, back to back in Canary Islands. With different disciplines. I mean, in Lanzarote, we're going to do surf freestyle only. It's a shorter event. And then in Gran Canaria, this is going to be the Grand Slam and definitely also one of the highlights of the season.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Gran Canaria is known to be, I don't know if it's the windiest place on Earth, but it's among the most windy places on this planet, especially in that time of the year. I would say 30, 35, 40 knots is happening on a nearly day-to-day basis in Gran Canaria and Puerto Izquierdo. It's known, this spot, as the how do you call it? The castle of windsurfing, of strong windsurfing. Always been known for that.
Oh, yeah.
And last year we've been running our first big air event there, and we're excited to get back there for big air as well. It's going to be surf freestyle, big air, and free flight slalom, because there's hardly any place in the world where you can boost as big airs as in Buzzy Skier in Gran Canaria.
Oh yeah, and that jumps into a little bit of Red Bull. We got Surfer app as well that you guys were using last year to measure those jumps and stuff. So you got a bit of cool stuff coming up this year as well, right? With those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Red Bull is partnering with us for the tour this year, supporting us on the event with athlete zones and in general support. And as last year, we've been starting this cooperation, and the special event last year in Gran Canaria was the big air discipline, where we used the devices of the Surfer app. Surfer app is it's not the only one, but it's, let's say, a very easy to use application that you can use on your phone, which basically uses the sensor of your phone, so you can wear your phone in your wetsuit while you're on the water, and the app will record your jump height, but also other data like the G-force, the speed, the takeoff speed, the landing, the travel distance that you have on jumps. It was originally designed for kite surfing, but it's also used in windsurfing and wingfoiling now. And we are working very close with those guys. They are from the Netherlands, and they're a great team, very keen to push the technology to the next level. And we will be implementing a couple of new features with them this year throughout the season. I don't want to talk too much in detail about it yet, but
yeah, we can wait. We were talking to Daniel and Herbertum, like the founder, and then also Daniel. They're coming on the show, so they're gonna come and kind of give some information coming up as well as to what they're working on and expand that, because I know they got some cool stuff in dev right now, which we're gonna wait to share. But it's gonna be super fun to talk to that team and see how they're working with you guys. So that's good info for all of us at home who want to jump our 2 feet and our 1 feet. But you know what? We need that app to tell us, man. We got to see.
No, they're great. These guys are great. And I'm happy that they come on the show, that I don't need to step into their resort. I leave it all to them to explain what's going to happen, because I didn't want to take anything out here too early. But it's going to be exciting stuff. I mean, we were very happy. Last year, we were also not sure. It hasn't been tested with wingfoiling so much before, and we've been working with them closely with athletes of our tour to improve the algorithms on the app and make the measurements as exact as possible. And it's been a great tool. I think also, I hope for those people who've been watching the live stream, following the data that came out of the watches. Yeah,
that's what Daniel was saying, because I think he's heading out to the first event in Cape Verde and stuff. I believe he's heading out to see you guys or something. But anyways, we talked. But there is some cool stuff coming down, especially. But we're gonna wait to hear it from them first. But okay, so you got some threes. So you got surf freestyle, big air, and then free fly slalom's going to happen in Gran Canaria. So that's July 9th to 14th.
It's also, I wanted to emphasize on that as well. That free fly slalom last year was awesome. I think this discipline, we are constantly developing this format, and adapting it to the different spots that we are running. And we've been running it in Leichhardt, in flat water, in Lightwind. We've been running it in Gran Canaria, in 40 knots on 2 meter wind swells, like having massive long downwind free fly section where you're not allowed to use the wing for a kilometer, just reading the ocean and using the pumps. And that was amazing to see last year. That's the ideal scenario for the format that we are running, actually. That it's just a couple of buoys where you're jiving, and then you need to free fly and really use your foil in the most efficient way to read the ocean, connect the bumps in the fastest way. And you can see the guys who have a lot of practice in this, they can, take on 100 meters over other guys that just try to pump and lose all the energy while other guys are just gliding. So this is the really technical part in this discipline. And I think in Gran Canaria, for me, this was the highlight to watch, and then we were in Brazil last year, where in our final event, we ran surf freestyle, free fly slalom discipline in a lagoon in Cauipe, which is
Oh yeah, we
basically
talked about that.
not bigger than
Yeah,
a
that'd be
swimming,
so sweet.
not bigger than a swimming pool, you know. So you would be standing on the beach, and those guys would be blasting 2 meters in front of you, butter flat water, and we had really, because the pool was so small, we couldn't like have a lot of people in the water at the same time. So it was super technical. And that's what I love about this discipline. It's really versatile. And in the end, it really adapts to the conditions we see on the certain spot. And in the end of the year, the rider who is the most complete in all their conditions is the one who's hopefully becoming the world champion. I think it's a really interesting format. And I'm really happy that we have such a diverse range of conditions throughout the different events on tour. To be able to test all these formats and develop them. So
Well, yeah, you got to work
ranking,
on all aspects of your game. Yeah, you can't just come with one set of skills. You got to come and develop all these different aspects, like the most rounded athlete. Super cool.
exactly, and also equipment wise, you can see that
Yeah, that's
still
true.
a lot of the guys, they're bringing their prototypes and they don't know. They are testing every heat, maybe different front wings, which would be more efficient on the downwind swell. Or, we're not focusing. Our format is not very upwind orientated. We have some short upwind elements sometimes in it, but it's more just some tacks. We're not really having elements where you need to do 500 meters upwinds. So the angle of going upwind doesn't matter so much. But you still want something that's fast and has a lot of glide, basically. And that's what a lot of the end consumers actually looking to it for. They want to have something that is fast with amazing glide, that can pump, that they can surf on the smallest bumps. So I think this discipline helps a lot in getting the right equipment ready. Obviously, the top guys are using equipment that probably not every regular customer would really buy in a shop. But
Yeah.
in the end of the day, you can buy a production for it and be competitive in this format, and that's what is important.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I just did a massive downwinder in Levantana. I was there last week, and I'm heading back there for a couple months and hopped on some brand new Axis gear and did like a 6K downwinder on their stuff. And then we climbed all the way back up because we didn't want to walk. So did like a 6 or 8K upwind, and it took us an hour. Did it from Britt there. She works with Axis, and just I could see it was my first time doing like a real official downwinder, right? So I can see that tie into free fly slalom, because that was it was tiring. Like my brain was maxed after a couple kilometers. She said, "You're good to go." I said, "You want to climb back upwind?" I said, "Yeah, we're gonna climb back upwind. I'm gonna grit my teeth." But I could see like all the mental fatigue and the strength training that has to come into something like this, because you're focused 100% the whole time. And so there's like it helps me have a better understanding of all the training and stuff that goes into it.
Of course. And the tactics as well. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
that's
What size of foil to go on, and what all this stuff. Do I use this one or that one, or what's my tail doing, or like pumping
it's a lot
wise,
about,
all that.
especially on the free fly section. I mean, we have these on every course, but if you have a course where it doesn't have a lot of wind swell and it's rather flat, it means you need to pump in the free fly a lot. Pumping obviously is easier on a bigger front wing, but a bigger front wing is slower. So you need to find the right balance of a fast front wing that is still doable to make the free fly section without coming off the foil.
Oh yeah.
And that's where we can see really different approach. Some you can see a couple of riders going on really small foils with a lot of speed, but might get stuck on the free fly, because when you're not, the rules are you cannot use your wing. Once you're off the foil and you're on the board, you can grab your wing and you can pump yourself on the foil again. But this costs a lot of time. So you lose 5-10 seconds or more if the wing is light. And you might be overtaken in that time by somebody who is on the bigger foil and just glides next to you, although his ground speed is slower.
Good to know. So that's coming up in Gran Canaria. Free fly slalom is going to be in Fuerteventura as well. So that's July 1924. So that's going to be a heck of a good month for you guys. That's going to be super fun. And then we hop over to Morocco for your pure wave. We got 2 pure wave disciplines back to back. So September 27th to October 6th. Dakla, that's a pretty sweet spot as well for
Yeah,
waves.
that was our final last year of the waves discipline. We crowned our world champions there. It's an amazing place for wing foiling. It's I would say a similar setup to Ponta Preta, point break, even longer wave, but softer wave. So it's definitely an easier wave than Ponta Preta, but a lot longer. I mean, a lot longer, but let's say definitely a couple more turns. And it's just a really, really fun place to ride on a foil, as a surf foiler, as a wing foiler, as a tow foiler. And we have a pretty, convenient setup with a hotel with the main sponsor right on the point. So you're just walking out of your hotel room, check the waves. Most of the time, the boys are surf foiling until the wind kicks in and they blow up their wings, and then they get wing foiling. So Dakla definitely one of the top spots, in my opinion, for people who want to ride wing foil in the waves.
All
And
right.
yeah, so we're back there, and then we have another wave event in Ibiraquera this year. So with our organizer in Brazil, we were running last year in Saquarema, in the mecca of surfing, on the same spot like the WSL. We were running the wing foil and also together with the kite event again. So all these wave events are actually combined with kiting. So the GKA and the GWA come together on those wave events because it makes sense once you have the setup there, judged how everything's in place. It just saves costs. You extend a couple more days and be able to run both disciplines. We were last year in Saquarema, and Saquarema, it was amazing. It was amazing, and it had good waves, but it is a place that is not the most reliable on the wind. We were very lucky, I think, to get the conditions last year at Saquarema. And it can get really challenging. I mean, when Saquarema gets big, and we got it big last year, it's not a place where everybody can make it out. The wind is very light on the inside, strong currents. You can have 5-6 meter waves basically on the beach break.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
we're heading this year to Ibiraquera and decided to organize in Brazil. Anyway, we wanted to go also to another spot. That's his idea, to do it every year in a different place. Ibiraquera, for those who know Brazil, is known as probably the best place for wind sports in the waves in Brazil. It's a very consistent, windy and wavy place in the south of Brazil. So we're going all the way to the south. And there have been competitions already in windsurfing and kite surfing in this place. We're very much looking forward to this one and have really consistent conditions. And Brazil is anyways always a good place to be, always good vibes. So this is also the place we're going to crown our world champion in the wave discipline this year.
Beautiful. And then our last tour stop, another spot in Brazil. So 19 to 24 surf freestyle, and our last free fly slalom. Okay.
Exactly. This is our final event. I mean, we have still, I can say, 2-3 other events in negotiation that you will not see on the tour calendar yet that might still get added. But I don't want to, talk too much about it yet until things are not a bit more certain. But it looks like Brazil is going to be the end of the tour with surf freestyle and free fly slalom. And this year we're going to change. We've been in Ceará in the same state, northeast of Brazil, but we're going to take the tour this year to Jericoacoara. I think it's also named, a lot of people know. And,
it's on my list.
Exactly, amazing place for wing foiling too. Good vibes.
Yeah.
So we'll run the final there, and looking forward to this one as well. I think it's going to be a fun one too, and it's November is the season to be in Brazil. It always amazes me when you fly to Fortaleza, which is the main airport in the northeast of Brazil, around October, November. You get out of the plane and you get to the luggage belt of the airport. You cannot believe how many board bags come out of each single plane that arrives in this airport. Yeah, I mean mainly kite bags, because there's so many spots in Ceará. It's windy every day, and there's hundreds of kilometers of coast. There's so many spots where you can go, and they're all good. And now wing foiling gets more and more popular there as well, and you see them more. It's a great place for downwinders because you have strong winds, sideshore blowing the whole coast. You can downwind for, the Brazilians, they love this downwind, as they do this sometimes for days, hundreds of kilometers with stopovers in different hotels. So there's plenty of opportunities. You got lagoons with flat water. It's just a place to be, I would say, in that time of the year for any water sports enthusiast.
Okay, so that looks like a pretty fun year ahead. Is anything else you want to kind of touch on to introduce the year for everybody at home?
No, I think we last year we introduced two new disciplines, the big air and the wave discipline. This year we continue with what we had last year. So, but I think it was very successful last year, and we were happy with how things went down. We also had a lot of talks internally with the crew, internally with the riders through the past 2 months. The last event was in November, not December, January. We didn't have any competitions. To also fine-tune rule books, see if we want to improve the disciplines a little bit. We're going to have some events, small amendments, I would say. Obviously, the sport evolves. In the free fly slalom, we're going to change a little bit the format, not how course is going to look like, but just the competition format. The idea is to make it a bit more exciting also for the media, and basically run the format in a way that it all ends up in one big final where it's all about the winner of the event, rather than having, at the moment, the class, we run it in the classic format. So you're running eliminations. So each elimination have a couple of heats, and then you have a result out of each elimination and get points, and then they get counted together for the event result. But you don't know if it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 10 or 15 eliminations. So you just run as long as you have, and so you never know if a final is happening, if it's going to be the last final. And we want to adapt that a little bit more into, let's say, a format where okay, it's finals day, this is the last heat, where it's all about the title and of the event, and make it a bit more exciting. Because beforehand, you had this format where in the end, after 6-7 rounds, it might not have a lot of changes anymore, because maybe the first guy is already so dominant that it doesn't matter what happens in the last 2-3 eliminations anymore. He has won already. And in the freestyle or wave competition, it's not like that. You can be the best guy putting on the best wave, the best tricks until the final, and then if you just don't perform in the final, you still don't win.
Yeah.
So we want a bit of a similar excitement on the slalom. So basically, it's all getting decided in the end, and there will be then we'll explain that maybe in a separate in the next episode. When the first free fly event will be in Neukat, but there will be some changes to that. And besides that, we're excited obviously about youth event. The young generation is pushing more and more, and we see more and more young people getting into that. And as I said, a few more things are in the pipeline that I don't want to mention now, but when they get realized, we'll talk about it.
We can be patient.
Stuff. I want to not advertise the tour, but I also want to explain a little bit, maybe, because we get this question a lot of times, emailing to our secretary or to myself, how people can actually get into the tour. And as I explained,
good point, actually.
Because the level is rising and we have more and more competitors that want to compete. So there is, obviously, as I explained, events, there's a certain number, the majority of people qualified for the ranking. So they have ranking points from the previous events, previous years, and then the top guys of the rankings, they already get into the events. But because we want to keep them open to anybody who is a newcomer as well, every event has video applications. So if you want to get into a freestyle event, we have an app, it's called the GWA Riders app. So if you go on our website and you go to an event, click on the event page, you will have a button when the registration is open. We usually open the registration around 8 to 10 weeks before the event. Registration is open for 4 weeks and close it 4 to 6 weeks before the event, depending a little bit on the calendar. And then the start list is selected. So within that month of open registration, you can go on that button, you can set up an account. If you're not a rider, have an account yet, you set up a GKA riders account, and then you can enter this platform. And as soon as an event is open, you can register and you can upload video clips as well. So, for example, if you want to rent a wave event, you need to upload 3 or 4 video clips of singing waves that will be all scored and evaluated by our judging panel at the end of the event registration is closed, and then the video wildcards are selected. Another way to get in it is with a qualification through a continental event. So we have continental championships, not in every continent, but if we have it and you're performing well in the continental championship, it will straight give you points to be chosen for wildcards for World Cup if you're entering, if you have a good result there. So it goes from continental into World Cup. And then there are also organizer wildcards. So each event has wildcards for the local organization that are meant to be for people from that country. But it's up to the organizer to decide who he puts in. So if there's an event in your country and you feel like you want to compete there, you can contact the organizer and ask him if he would be willing to give you an organizer wildcard. And if you can convince him, however you want to do it, then you can maybe get a wildcard granted, and he'll put you on the event as well. So these are the different opportunities. And once you get into a World Cup, you always collect some points. It will be increasing your ranking, and it will make it more easy to come into the next events as well. And then obviously there are events that are more popular and more people want to get in, and it's harder to get a place. And there are events where you have a little bit less people because they're in more remote areas or for other reasons. So I can also advise sometimes people don't try to get only, like, let's say, in these like top events with all the top guys. Like Cape Verde wave event is a classic example. Everybody wants to compete there. It might be easier to get into another event in Brazil or in Dakar. Also, these events are actually pretty popular. But just saying, it is also there. We have long waiting lists, but you can try to get into some events more easy, collect points that will help you to get into other ones. And feel free. I mean, don't be scared. It's a great experience, I think. And if you get the chance to compete, then take it and make the best out of it.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be, I guess, something you bring along with the rest of your life forever. That's pretty cool. Especially at those spots when you get to like not have to share them with anybody, like we were talking about before. That doesn't happen too often.
And the better you do in the competition, the more hits you're going to have on the water.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so that's it. We heard it from here. All right, sir. Well, hey, thanks for joining me today and for introducing 2024. Stoked to chat to you soon about the next news and about next comings and goings of the tour.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And let's see what's going to happen in Cape Verde. And
darn right.
Yeah, we'll catch up at some point in the season again and wrap up what has happened and bring up some more news.
Sounds good. All right, Tom. And hey, thanks everybody for joining us on this one. And we will talk to y'all soon.